Welcome back to Behind the Scenes here in the Creepy Crawler's Garage. I just got back from vacation. I was out at the races at COTA, the Indy races over the weekend. In fact, it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Got back Monday, was staying with my folks, so went ahead and stayed through till Monday and then headed on in when it was nice and easy and relaxed drive back to Houston, about a 3-hour drive. Anyway, so I'm back here in the shop. Just a real quick recap of the Indy race. Colton Herta won the race, which is totally awesome. Young kid, 18-year-old kid, fresh out of Indy Lights. Youngest Indy victory ever. It was kind of neat to see. He was definitely the benefactor of a yellow flag, the only yellow. Ran Rosenquist, I believe it was Hinchcliffe. In fact, it was Hinchcliffe. Hit Rosenquist coming out of turn 19. Kind of a track limits issue there at COTA. It was kind of a known thing coming in. There were no track limits, which actually I liked, but anyways, Herta hits Rosenquist coming out of the turn. Hinchcliffe hit Rosenquist coming out of 19, way outside the track, slid him into the entry of the pits. And let's see, Newgarden and Herta had already pitted, and so Rossi and Power got kind of stuck out on the track, shuffled back to the end of the line, and gave Herta the chance to win the race, who, by the way, had pace. He definitely outpaced Newgarden. So, I mean, he deserved the win, but got a little lucky with the yellow, but it was totally cool. Pato Award also did great, the other guy that just out of Indy Lights. So that was really cool. But anyways, that's just a quick recap of the race if you were actually interested. Maybe some of you have watched it on Sunday. But it was actually very cool also because they ran the Indy Lights, they ran the Mazda MX-5s, and that kind of related to what we do. They actually brought ramps out onto the track, out onto Circuit of the America, and ran stadium trucks. So Robbie Gordon and the guys were, Hoffman, all those guys were out there driving their stadium trucks around Circuit of the America on the asphalt. There was no dirt. They just brought the ramps out onto the tarmac. They cut the track kind of in half at the S's, but it was still, I bet, 1.5 miles or so, maybe even a little more, maybe close to 2 miles of the track that they ran. They actually had to stay within track limits, unlike all the other cars that went around. But it was totally cool to watch these stadium trucks. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Circuit of America, but turn 1, I don't know the exact elevation, but I bet it's 80 to 100 feet. It's very high. Coming into turn 1 from the front straightaway, you go up and then you turn and come down. On that downhill out of turn 1, they had a jump. So these guys were literally launching those trucks downhill after turn 1, in which, by the way, then leads into the S's. So they're coming down. It was crazy. It was really cool. Had a great time. Which, by the way, brings me to the question for this week. In last week's, when I was telling everybody I was going to COTA, let me make sure I get the name right. It was, Argyle RC actually asked me, so who's your favorite race team? So I thought it kind of pertained to this because, coming out of, talking about the race. So I thought I'd, give you some insight. It's kind of a little insight into my life. I grew up a Newman Haas, later a Newman Haas Lanigan fan. So I was a huge fan of the Newman Haas Indy team. That's why still today I'm an Indy fan. So the greatest racer in history, in my opinion, is Mario Andretti, who was the original Newman Haas driver. I will not take the argument the greatest racing driver to ever drive a car is Mario Andretti. The greatest F1 driver is Ayrton Senna. But for an all-around driver, I mean, the guy won dirt track championships, he won NASCAR championships, he won Indy championships, he won the World Championship in F1, he won the 24 Hours of Le Mans. I mean, you can go on and on and on. He's just the greatest racing driver to ever live, and he was the first driver for Newman Haas, so I was always a Newman Haas fan. And then, of course, his son Michael came on the team, and then when Mansell came in, I mean, that was just huge for Indy, and he was a Newman Haas driver. So I grew up a Newman Haas, later Newman Haas Lanigan fan. Now, when CART and IRL merged and Paul Newman died, they kind of faltered and really couldn't get a team together, even with bringing in, Hinchcliffe at the very end even drove for Newman Haas, but it just never could make, and they kind of disappeared. And since then in Indy, I've not really had a team I root for. I'm more root for drivers. So I'm a big Joseph Newgarden fan. I'm always going to root for the Americans, at least try to. I find Joseph Newgarden to be the All-American. I mean, when they interview him, he just comes across as this is just that All-American kind of guy. So I've rooted for him. Not necessarily a Team Penske fan. Never have been. When I was a kid, I was a bit of a Rick Mears fan who drove for Penske. But overall, I'm not really I really don't have a team in Indy I root for anymore. Now in F1, I'm a Haas F1 fan. I'm going to root for the Americans, right? Now, totally different Haas. This is Gene Haas compared to Carl Haas back in the. Carl Haas is dead from Newman Haas. He was an old racer and has passed away. But Gene Haas now has, as everybody probably, if you're a NASCAR fan, you know Stewart Haas Racing. Which I kind of root for too, just because it's Gene Haas and Tony Stewart. I'm a bit of a Tony Stewart fan. Don't watch a lot of NASCAR, but in F1, I'm a big Haas F1 fan because it's the Americans in F1. And one of my dreams is sometime while I'm alive, I want to hear the national anthem played at an F1 race. So in other words, either a Haas car won or an American driver won. Right now, we don't have any American drivers in F1, so the only chance we have is the Haas team for that to happen. So I'm a Haas F1 fan, and then I do root for Stewart Haas in NASCAR. When I watch a little bit of NASCAR, I watch the big races. I watched Daytona. I watched Atlanta this year because the race season hadn't really started in Indy or F1. And then I don't really have I'm not a fan of any particular team. Either in IMSA or in the Le Mans series, but I do enjoy watching those. In fact, I've been tooling around and talking about trying to put a little amateur car together to do endurance racing with, which I think would be a blast. Get three other guides and do some endurance racing, do a 12 hours somewhere or 24 hours. But anyway, so I do watch those too. It sometimes get in trouble because I tie up the TV for 24 hours, especially like when 24 hours of Le Mans is on, or Daytona when the Rolex 24 was going the other, not too long ago, especially because Alonso was driving. And I'm a bit of an Alonso fan like every other person in the world. But anyways, I just wanted to answer the question as to, what team do I root for? It was a question in the comments. I thought I'd answer it a little more in depth during this vlog. So now back to what's really going on here at TandemCTelevision. So still finishing up the studio, been out of town, so I didn't get it finished, but I'm closer. So here, let me show you a little bit of what we're looking at here. So I'm just facing the garage itself. So I'm just trying to get a little more organized on this side. So I've actually brought in some shelves. I'm getting some bins, just getting more organized. So everything I need for the studio is at finger's length. I don't have to go running all over the place to try to collect what I need to do what I need to do. And I'm staying more organized with customers' trucks, which is just a good idea. I don't want to lose anything or misplace anything because these trucks get usually torn down all the way down. So I've got those put away in bins also, so I don't misplace anything. But next week we'll take a full studio tour, I promise. I'm gonna have this completely done. I have to. I actually have family that's gonna be coming in town, so they're gonna be in this area, being the studio itself, and I wanna make sure it's presentable. So I have to get it finished and done. So next Wednesday, we'll actually take a full tour of the studio, give you a little closer look at everything. Other than that, we're just finishing up the projects we've been working on, which is the Highway 1 project. I'm currently working on the bed for that project, and then the interior for the Bulgar RC project. I also want to mention that we've got a new project that's going to actually be starting next week over at the Patreon page. It's exclusive to Patreon, just $1 a month and get you access to it. For you who are Patreons out there, that build will be starting next week, and then there will be an episode every week that is, again, exclusive only to the Patreon supporters. The kit will be in tomorrow, actually, so I can start filming probably this weekend. I'll take care of that. I'll probably do those builds on the weekend, and then I'll probably put it out, I'm not sure, probably Tuesday. I think probably Tuesday. Look forward to either Tuesday or Thursday, I think, because I do these on Wednesday. But yeah, so that's going to be starting up next week. So if you are a Patreon, look for that. If you're not right now a subscriber on the Patreon page, head on over there. It's $1 a month. Gets you all the access to all the exclusive content. You can also, I will be posting some stuff that's to the public. So if you just want to go by the page, follow the page, do that too. You can do that. You can just follow and stuff that's posted public. you'll be able to see. And most of the stuff I'll be posting public is just maybe pictures and things like that. And then if you choose to subscribe for $1 or more a month, you'll get access to the builds. Anyway, so that project's going to also be going on. Other than that, I think that pretty well gets us caught up back from vacation. I've got to get back to work because I've been out of pocket for whatever it was, 4 or 5 days. So I'm behind. And so I got to get back to work. So I'll see you guys this Sunday for the RC shop. See you then. Bye-bye.